What's up guys, welcome back onto the channel once again. So onto our today's video, we are going to see how the MAGA people, the white Americans, are really furious on black Americans who are really thriving to survive with this hard economy. So the white people are very furious, and as you can see, they come out in large numbers to vote for the black Americans to be banished into the states. But with all that, they are seeing them thriving. So watch the video up to the end and I'll back with more comments.
That white people are absolutely jealous of black people, specifically with the community, and also with like fashion and music and everything else that is appropriated. But by design of what whiteness is, it inherently lacks community. And
I think white people are so triggered by black joy because they have zero control over it. And white people are all about control. And anything they don't get to control and manage and dictate freaks them the hell out.
Pose the question, why do white people hate black people so much? I have been in situations where I've been surrounded by nothing but white people. And this conversation has come up. The race conversation has come up. And no one ever has an actual reason as to why they hate black people. There's always these, oh, black on black crime. Oh, they're lazy. Oh, they're this. But it's not actually, there's no legitimacy behind their reasoning. It's just shit that they've heard and they're regurgitating. And so, long story short, it really comes down to there is no reason. It's a deep-seated jealousy, a deep-seated hate that, black people exude greatness. Black people are the great inventors. Black people are the beginning of the human race, the Eve gene. And white people have worked so hard to erase the history and erase the greatness of the black race. Down to even when things are invented, the majority of things that are invented were invented by a black person. But yet the white race has actually erased the original inventor from history and have put their names on things that they had no business putting their name.
Oh, I do think that white people are absolutely jealous of black people, specifically with the community, and also with like fashion and music and everything else that is appropriated. But by design of what whiteness is, it inherently lacks community. And I think we're absolutely jealous of that. And I've heard biracial people say that they do see that difference in their own families. Because in addition to European cultures being more individualistic than cultures from Africa, South America, and indigenous North American cultures, the invention of whiteness in America erased a lot of ties to actual culture. So when I say like white people, black community, I'm not talking about like Polish people or German people or Irish people. As I explained in my book, I just wrote the intro and I'm working on the conclusion today. Y'all keep me in your prayers. In the course of human history, white is a relatively new term. As we discussed in the introduction to this book, white is a North American term emerging from the 1600s as a term to justify the enslavement of Africans and squelch revolts from poor Europeans and indentured servants. Before this term, Europeans would identify with their nationalities. The Irish, Italians, Germans, French are all very different cultures. Thus, there is not the same communal tie to whiteness as there is for people from other communities. Further, since white was created to be a divider, a separator, it is not a happy identity. It is not something people want to admit they relate to. It doesn't have a rich, healthy history. Speaking as a white American who has conducted national level research on white Americans, we tend to say things like we have German, Irish, Italian, etc. ancestry, even if we have never been to those places. This is because all white Americans have ties to immigration, and because these identities are actual cultures, they do not have roots only in oppression. Now, we know who started colonization, right? So this is the book I'm trying to finish by Monday and send to the editor. There's a free chapter in my bio if you're interested on one of the unwritten rules of work. The book is predominantly about class, but I talk about 3 other identities that you can't talk about class without talking about these other identities, and race is absolutely one of them.
Why do white people resent black excellence? Let's talk about it. Not all white people are racist, obviously, but there is a specific subset for whom black excellence seems like a personal affront to them, right? It really bothers them when black people succeed. The 13th Amendment emancipated enslaved black Americans in 1865, and then the Jim Crow laws kind of wrapped up with the passing of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. So if we do the math, that's about 61 years in which black Americans were able to strive for success in any sort of meaningful way without like the constraints of the law pulling them down. 61 years. If we compare that to white Americans who besieged a land already owned and occupied by indigenous Americans, we'll put that around 1620 when, you know, the Mayflower came here, then that gives them about 425 years to establish success in this country. 425 versus 61. If we compare those two fundamentally very different time spans, like, how much did white Americans actually do in all of that time? If we were to compare even the poorest and most underprivileged of white America to black America generally, it is clear that white Americans are born way past the start line, right? By that I mean, by like nature of being white in American society, you do benefit from all sorts of privileges. And like, to be frank, you're not exhausted by the horrible experience of facing racism on a daily basis, right? You do have a ton of privileges. So I imagine existing in this bubble of privilege that you like totally deny, the existence of black people for whom success is like second nature, when it comes so easily and so readily, even though you've only had 61 years to achieve it, I imagine that's exhausting and frustrating. I imagine it makes people feel super, super inferior and hurts certain people's tiny, tiny little egos. And what do they blame that deep, deep psychic pain on? Well, of course, DEI and critical race theory and affirmative action. So I guess the question is, what might help those white Americans who just so strongly detest black excellence? Like, what will help you? And for that, I would suggest like a lot of therapy, like a ton of therapy. And I would also just suggest that we open the schools, right? We teach people history. Yeah, maybe? Okay, bye!
I'm in these non-toxic groups on Facebook where people live non-toxic lives and we're looking for non-toxic recommendations for the products that we use. And I made a Facebook post, this was a while back, and I was like, I'm looking for black-owned, non-toxic hair product recommendations for my entire family who has various hair types. And my post was just met with so many white women who are like, that's racist. Why are you looking for black owned? I'm telling you, this post got endless comments full of hatred. Like, it just kept coming and coming and coming. We support black businesses to get rid of the racial wealth gap. Like, it's seriously the least that you can do. It's the easiest thing that you can do. So I was like talking with these people in the comments and they're coming at me and they're attacking me. And it brought out a side of me that I'm not proud of. I called them what they were. And basically my entire post got taken down. And so I didn't get any answers. But if this isn't a really good example of how white people don't want black people to succeed, I don't know what is. And so if you have any good recommendations for non-toxic products in general that are black owned, I would love for you to drop them in the comments, because I did get a couple of answers, but the post got taken down so suddenly that I couldn't write them down. And then some that we found that we ended up trying just didn't work out the way that we hoped. We have hair types ranging from 4A to C and hair like mine. But I'm always looking for black-owned businesses that I can support in general, and products that are non-toxic are a big plus.
Racism is about jealousy. If you think that's a reductive statement, please stick with me. When I say jealousy, I'm talking about insecurity, which is really what jealousy is, but I think it's easier to understand if I say insecurity rather than just jealousy. Because we know from appropriation that we are very jealous of other cultures. Why would we want to listen to the music, eat the food, wear the clothes, do the hairstyles, have everything, the language, but not give credit where credit is due and not uplift the people who created it? White people are so lost in feeling like they don't have a connection to culture, especially many of us who are very far removed from our European roots. And I think the need to fill that space and that insecurity of this lack of culture and lack of something to call our own is often filled with cultural appropriation and the idea that being white is superior. I was first introduced to this concept of racism being jealousy in college, and I can't trace it back to one particular scholar, but I would like to give credit where credit is due to that Black scholar. If you can find anything tracing it to one particular person, please leave that in the comments. I think it's important to think about racism in this way if we want to unlearn it. Because, as some people say who are non-monogamous, or anyone who's just working on their relationships, jealousy is an indicator that something is not quite right with us. It's an indicator of our insecurity and how we might be feeling. It's not about what our partner is doing or what someone on Instagram is doing with their life that makes us feel inadequate. It's about something going on inside. And I think we really need to interrogate that. What is it about people of color showing excellence, people of color maybe being more in touch with culture, people of color being more in touch with the environment, people of color making better food, and everything else that we envy? What does that trigger in us? And why do we have the need to put those people down? It's about jealousy. And if we can figure out that we're feeling that way and trace that feeling back to maybe some of our unconscious biases, I think it's a lot easier to start thinking about how can we unlearn that? How can I feel secure in my identity as a white person who has roots in maybe Italian and like other cultures, but like doesn't really feel connected to anything? How can I feel secure in myself to not want to put others down, whether that be racism or any other form of discrimination, or just plain hating on another woman because she's amazing? You know, I think this makes it seem like racism is very simple, but it also just helps us frame it in a way that's accessible to us. We know that dismantling racism starts with individual work, and personal growth is all about thinking about the hard things about yourself and the things and parts of yourself that you don't like. And jealousy is one of those things. No one wants to be jealous. It's an awful, awful feeling. And we don't want to admit that we're jealous. And we shy away from that, but it's something we can interrogate, and I think that is going to help us go a long way. Anyway, just my thoughts. Happy Juneteenth. I hopefully will speak about this more coherently in the future. Yeah, Black Lives Matter.
Bingo. Clocked it. Because ultimately, this is why I find it so incredibly important to decenter whiteness from your queerness, no matter what you are, black, white, brown, whatever you are. And this is why I found it extremely difficult to maintain and sustain friendships with white queer people, because there is this constant like self-victimization that is laughable. It's like you'll be in a conversation and you'll be like, hey, you know, like, I'm dealing with XYZ because of my marginalized identity. They'll be like, well, I'm also dealing with XYZ. And you'll be like, okay. You're just venting to them. You're literally just being a friend. You're venting, and you're saying, well, you know, I couldn't pay my rent. Well, I couldn't pay my rent in 2003, so it's like, okay, girl. Literally try to play this game that you didn't even realize you were playing. And the wild part about it is every single time you see that like light of curiosity and spark in their eyes, the moment they feel like they can like be friends with a person of color. And this is like truly, I've seen this in lots of like white queer women, almost as if they're like the white queer Thanos, and they got one of their Infinity Stones the moment they get a person of color as a friend, because they like latch on and they're like, how can I suck from the host? Like, how can I try to one-up you and play Oppression Olympics every single moment, every single opportunity that I get? It is It's scary. And this is why it's so dangerous to be a person of color that is queer. Because what happens is we see danger, right? Like as humans, we know how to find danger. We know how to see danger. The problem with white queer people is they will be the danger that was lurking there the whole time and you had no clue. You'll be 3-4 years into a friendship only to find out, oh, you didn't like me. I was just one of your infinity stones for your virtue signaling for your potluck. Oh. And like the older I get and the more into my queerness and my queer journey I get, the more I can clock those like red flags. But it is very it's very debilitating. It's very painful. It's very hurtful. But yes, the jealousy is absolutely there. Clocked it.
I've seen videos of people talking about, some white women actually believe that no black woman can be prettier than them. Like they actually believe like no black woman can be prettier than them. The only reason why I don't believe that is because a lot of white women, not all, but a majority of white women are very envious and jealous and always in this one-sided competition with black women. They have always been like that. It's been like that since the beginning of time, y'all. Since the beginning of time. Everywhere I go, people stare at me. People call me pretty. People compliment me. But white girls, they will stare at me. They just have a nasty look on their face. They won't say nothing to me. A few of them will walk up to me and be like, you're just so pretty. You're so gorgeous. But a lot of them will look at me and just have this nasty look on their face. And I know it's jealousy. I know they're jealous. I just watched this video yesterday. It was a Black history lesson someone was talking about, and it was basically saying how black women way back when used to wear their hair in like these gorgeous big poofy hairstyles with beads and like feathers in their hair and everything like that. And white women were so jealous and so intimidated, so bothered by the hair on another person's head, they went and made a petition. This is in Louisiana. They wrote a petition to the governor, and the governor ended up banning black women from wearing their hair out in public because it was intimidating and, making the white women jealous, essentially. I don't know if you guys remember, but like if you look back in the Victorian times where they used to wear those big poofy dresses and the backside of them dresses were big as hell. Excuse my language. Guess who inspired that? A black woman that was kidnapped from Africa and held in a cage as a freak show, that was forced to act like an animal and do weird stuff in a circus. Same reason why white women go and get lipo now, because they want lips like this. Lips that I was made fun of for having. This is the reason why they want to go get BBLs. Why? Because black women is a blueprint of the Coke bottle shape. One of the reasons why they get self-tanner. I thought being white as can be was a good thing. Now you want to make yourself bronze. Now you want a little melanin. It's so obvious, y'all. Like, and it's not just racism. It's jealousy. It's envy. That's another reason why these white women will go and purposefully get with these self-hating, colorist black men. I ain't never seen a white woman try to go after a Malcolm X kind of dude. Most likely because a Malcolm X kind of dude ain't gonna want to date him. I ain't never seen a white woman try to, date a black dude that always talks about how he loves black women or has made statements, about black women, how much he loves black women. I see these white women go out and get these whitewashed black men who do nothing but talk trash about black women and how black women this, how black women that, and this black and that black. They purposely go and get with these black men because it's a boost of their ego, because they know, okay, this black man hates himself, which means he hates his people. He doesn't like black women. He feels some type of way about them. So by me getting with him, it's like I get a one up on the black woman. I get a one up on her. They're always in these secret competitions with black women. So you wonder why they're microaggressive to us. You wonder why they always catch these small attitudes. You wonder why they always feel some type of way and looking at you crazy, baby girl, because they're jealous. They're jealous because they know they can't compete where they don't compare. It's jealousy, and it's all a mind game. They will do anything they can to get in our heads and to mess with us and then try to go and cry and play victim. That's why I don't be phased. I'll be walking around with my head up high. I know they be staring at me. I know they be looking at me. I don't even pay them no mind. I walk right past them. Won't move out of their way or nothing. They're envious. It's been like that since the beginning of time.
Man, what is up with the obsession of black people, dog?
How do you think if you eat watermelon and drink grape Kool-Aid, you're more likely to somebody?
I don't think that's a true statistic.
It's true.
Are you trying to make stereotypes?
What's a stereotype?
No comment.
Talking about fully unprovoked. I'm pretty sure this man has never had a interaction with black people to begin with. Stacey want to talk about statistics. Let's go there. So white males make up 31% of America. Yet they make up 71% of child acts. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all know what I mean by this. And this is actually facts instead of the 1350 rule, which I broke down. You can go check that out. Like, this is real deal facts. And I didn't even mention the comments, bro. Like, when people say racism don't exist, go into these videos and look at the comment section, bro. It'd be people with no profile picture. Just imagine how many of these people are doctors, lawyers. You know, these are their burner accounts. They really feel like this about us. So, especially my black people that be coming here to my, oh, I don't see race. They see it, motherfucker. The obsession with black people is extremely weird.
I'm re-recording this message for quality purposes only. I want to make sure that the algorithm picks up this video and pushes it out as much as possible. I need every person of color, every black person to hear this video, to hear this message, okay? The Trump administration is looking to reinstate segregation for its federal workers, okay? Segregation, to which I literally said in my last video, and I'm going to say it again. Bring back segregation if you want to. Bring it back if you want to. You want to play them games? We can play them games. And like always, go and fact check this. You can find it on ABC News. You can find it on Politico, not political, but politico.com. You can find it on usnews.com and etc. Now, this is coming directly from the article, okay? Let's read. Segregated facilities could make a comeback as Trump's administration lifts discrimination ban on federal contracts. According to a public memo from General Services Administration, the GSA, the federal government will no longer prohibit contractors from having segregated waiting rooms, restaurants, and water fountains in order to secure government contracts. The memo reportedly states when issuing new solicitations or contracts do not include any of the following provisions or clauses: the prohibition of segregated facilities. This move aligns with President Trump's broader executive order to repel diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives within the government and across the country. Now companies will have more leeway to decide whether or not to have segregated facilities, which include restrooms, restaurants, waiting areas, parking lots, and locker rooms. And like I said in the last video, please don't threaten us with a good time. Please don't threaten us with a good time. Bring back segregation if you want to. Bring back segregation if you want to. Let our black teachers educate our black students. Let our black physicians treat our black patients. Let our black bankers and accountants help manage and help black people better manage their money. Let our black athletes, okay, play for their own black teams. All right, let our black people represent us in the Olympic Games. Bring it back all the way. Don't make it just a federal thing. Don't make it just a federal thing. Bring it back nationwide. Bring it back nationwide, because I promise you the black people of today are not the black people of back then. We didn't know any better. Now that we know what your spaces looks like, we don't give a fuck about being included in your spaces. How about that? This is not the game that you want to play. This is not the game that you want to play. I promise you, the black community, you see how we're thriving right now? Just minding our business. We're not even doing anything. We're just minding our business. We all collectively said we're not coming outside for any of you people, and we're good. My bank account is thriving. I know a lot of other black people whose bank accounts is thriving right now. I promise you, bring back segregation. And you know what? I'm going to even call your bluff. Bring back segregation for federal workers, and you don't even have to make an announcement about it being nationwide. We'll do it for you. We will do it for you. We will move in accordance to what you've started. I promise you that. Let it be let it be federal. Let any of our black federal workers be like, yeah, so they've officially started segregation. Word? We bringing that shit on the outside too. We bringing that on the outside too. We have black-owned restaurants. We have black-owned businesses. All we need is to get our Black Wall Street up and running again. And this time, we dare y'all to try to burn that shit down. Blood will be shed, baby. Blood will be shed, I promise you. So go ahead. Go ahead. Play if you want to. I'm telling you, outside of all the atrocities that Donald Trump will commit within these next 4 years, one of the things he will be accredited for is finally uniting all black people. All black people. I promise you that. I promise you that. Bring it all the way the fuck back. Let us go back in history. We have been separating our black dollars from you. Please, we would love to be able to separate our talent too. We would love to be able to separate our talent too. Let's see who really is the superior race.
So I had some white colleagues ask me what I thought about Trump actually segregating whites and blacks. And I actually told them straight up, like, honestly, I would love that. Now, they looked at me like I was crazy, and they almost spit up their almond milk, and I think they thought that maybe I was saying that out of hatred, but it really isn't about hatred. Here's the thing. I'm not talking about their version of segregation. See, I'm talking about our version of righteous separation, spiritual sovereignty, and black sufficiency. See, the truth of it is that integration was never about freedom. It was finesse. It was a system's way of saying, let's stop them from succeeding independently so we can profit from their brilliance directly. It was about control. And so I want us to be very clear about this. You know, we were never separate but equal. So that's a lie. We were separate and excelling. We had our own schools. We had our own banks. We had our own businesses. And baby, we were thriving. Black Wall Street, they burned it. Rosewood, they bombed it. Wilmington, they overthrew it. Why? Because we were doing too well without them, and they couldn't handle that. And so that's the truth. They didn't really want segregation gone. They wanted control. This is why we know that integration was just repackage of chains. When we were separate, we actually were building and excelling. And when they saw that we could excel without them, then it was like, oh no, we got to take control and make sure that their labor is profiting us. So right around that time, they rolled out this whole standardized testing, ACT and SAT. Y'all remember that? They created this IQ ranking to measure their norms, not our brilliance. And then we were said we were behind when we really weren't. We were just building our own lane, not asking for theirs. See, I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of tired of the lies. It's very exhausting, you know, just the lies that continue to be promoted. And I want to talk about the melanin, because this whole thing that we're not smart enough, that we're not bright enough, is simply just a lie. And so, you know, all this testing that they're doing, and I have kids in school, and they're made to feel that they cannot achieve. And I have to remind them about their actual superpower, melanin. See, not just your skin tone, but in your brain, specifically neuromelanin, that rich dark pigment found in areas like the substantia nigra, which are critical for learning and memory and decision making and emotional regulation. See, if you don't know, then you won't know how to respond. But when you learn about the studies that have actually linked the neuromelanin to higher concentrations and how it's related to enhanced memory and processing and higher intelligence and faster reaction times, then you know why they have hidden this information for so long. Because when you have higher melanin, you have stronger brain resilience against degenerative diseases. So translation to that is melanin doesn't just make you glow, it makes you grow. So we know that it's not coincidental that people with more melanin have historically been creators, inventors, innovators across every discipline, while also being the most suppressed, because they know that the more melanin you have in your body and in your brain actually produces higher intelligence. So the Bible also says this too in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verses 7. It says he placed treasures in earthen vessels. What treasures? It was in us all along, right? So we have more melanin, and we know that people with less melanin, because it's a recessive gene and it's a mutation, lack the same level of intelligence, of many different benefits that come along with that. What's so interesting about it is that we're supposed to be looking at this as if it's something negative. But why is it negative when every other cultural group does this? Group economics. See, the truth of the matter is they have stolen from us, so many different things, and yet we still survive. And so I don't want to offend, but I have to be blunt here. When we invented it, they patented it. When we built it, they banked on it. So everything we created, they made sure they benefited off of it. Just like Louis Latimer, he actually developed the light bulb, but Edison got all the glory for it. And this has been going on through history. We know that Granville T. Woods laid the foundation for trains. Corporations got the contracts. Dr. Patricia Bath revolutionized eye surgery. The system licensed the tech. Black music became white record labels, billion-dollar industries off of our talent. Every time we create, they capitalize. We are the genius, but they control the royalties. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So when we talk about the facts and segregation, I want to be very clear. It's not racist. We have to understand the dynamics of this. See, the black dollar actually is the fastest running dollar in America. So let's do the math here. And I think it's quite funny. Black people have spending power over 1.6 trillion. But guess what? That dollar stays in our community just for 6 hours. While the white community, their dollar stays in their community 17 days. And guess what? Asian communities, it stays in their community 20 days. Jewish communities over 3 weeks. Why? Because we're systemically disarmed from owning what we build. And this is no coinky dink. The scripture said this would happen. So now our dollar does the labor, but the system collects the check. And this is why I support segregation on our own terms. See, that 400 years of slavery is over. And when I say that I want us to be segregated, I don't mean oppress. I mean organize. Let's build black banks again. Let's educate our babies on the truth, not whitewashed lies. And let's support black farmers, black techs, black healing, black brilliance. And no, it doesn't mean I hate white people. No, it means I finally love us enough to stop begging for scraps from a table we built but never welcomed to. See, the Bible told us about this, yet we hop, skip, and jump over the fact that Deuteronomy 28, 43, and 44 already said it. It says, the stranger shall rise above you high, and you shall come down low. They shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to them. And this is exactly what has been happening for 400 years plus years. We built houses, businesses, schools, and they took them and taxed them to death. But beloved, there's hope, because Deuteronomy 30:3 also says, and Yah will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all nations. So yes, I welcome segregation, because restoration is already in motion. And I want y'all to understand this. We are not asking for more, we're building. See, we were never given anything from you all. I'm not asking to sit at somebody's table anymore. See, I'm trying to go along with scripture and build my people, gather my people, not because they are more melanated, but because we need to know that we serve the Most High and that He's going to take care of us, because separation was never our curse. It was our covenant. And now it's our strategy. It says to come out from among them, be ye separated. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. So this isn't about racism. It's about us reclaiming what is already ours.
How do you feel about the segregation bit?
I would rather shit in my hands and clap as hard as I can. Segregation? No.
You know what I think is a little bit funny is people who look like me, they understand the concept of malicious compliance as it relates to things that they can wrap their head around, right? Like a Christian wanting to put a Bible in a classroom, they can very easily be like, oh, well, if we're bringing religion into schools, then I'm going to bring my satanic Bible in, or I'm going to bring my Torah in, because if we're including Christianity, we have to include all religion, right? They understand that form of malicious compliance, but they have a harder time wrapping their brain around malicious compliance as it relates to like racial segregation, because I've seen a lot of Black people that I follow being like either jokingly or non-jokingly jokingly like, yeah, segregation's coming back, baby. I can't wait until I have like a black only school where my children won't experience racism and I can open up my own black only bar and no one will feel creeped out or experience like microaggressions while they're just trying to have fun. And then I hope well-meaning white people in the comments will be like, but segregation's bad, guys. Segregation's bad. And it's like, yeah, we all agree that, but if it's going to happen, then the form of malicious compliance is to do the thing that racists don't want you to do, which is own your shit, right? Segregation has never been about racist people just wanting black people and other non-white people away from them. Segregation has always been about saying white people have everything and you have nothing. That's why you have things like the Tulsa City Massacre, okay? Things like that don't happen if the only thing segregation is trying to accomplish is putting black people somewhere else. That's never been what segregation is about. Segregation is about saying, we have access to everything, you have access to nothing. And if you create your own things, we will take it from you. And so it's funny, the joke is that racist white people demanding a return for segregation would immediately lose their minds when there was a space that they were not allowed into. That's the joke.
How do you feel about the segregation ban?
Well, if I see a whites-only water fountain, I'm going to take a big shit in it. If I see a whites-only taxi cab, I'm going to be charged with a whites-only restaurant. I'm going to be charged with... I hope this is what Trump had in mind.
Trump just brought back segregation. That's all that's on my FYP today. Be so for real right now. We are in 2025. Just stop with that freaking narrative. Just stop already. What's even worse is the amount of people that I'm seeing commenting that are like, yeah, good. I hope he brings it back. And most of those people do not look like me. Yeah, so I don't know why you would want that. Sounds pretty damn hateful to me. He did not bring back segregation. What he did is try to protect women and children in bathrooms. I don't see where that's a problem. I would prefer to not have to worry about being in a restroom with a man walking in. Just a thought. I do have a daughter. I'd like to know that she's safe when she's in there. So, yeah. Trump did not bring back segregation. He did not bring back racial segregation for those in the back.
So guys, I think I've watched that video up to the end and you have seen how many white people are really furious, or they are now thinking on what the black people are thinking, because you saw how they came out in large numbers voting for DGT, thinking that it is going to affect the black people so much. But with the silence the black people are having is making the whites to be so much curious, because they do not know what the black people are planning, or they don't know what will be their next move. But because they had jealous with them, because they practiced racism, whereby you saw the whites really were against the black people. So they took the black people to be inferior because of their race or ethnicity, which led to unfair treatment and they were discriminated. So they thought by voting in with large numbers, the blacks will really suffer, but they have seen them thriving due to the hard economy the country is going through. But you have seen so many of them are now working hard to make sure their ends meet. So the jealousy they had on the black people is now making them think that they were not really important. But as you can see now, the black people have gone silent and the whites are now really furious, asking themselves what will be their next move. By that, you saw how the black people were discriminated. They lacked their goods, or they really lacked everything they needed in the states, because they were seen so much different with the white people. So by doing that, they were being punished because they were not to have same resources with the whites, and by doing that, they were separated. And that's where so many of them are saying segregation is back, or Trump brought back segregation. This is where the blacks were separated. Because as you can see, segregation is the separation of the people into different groups that are often based on specific characteristics, and mostly it referred to social segregation, where blacks were separated based on traits like race or ethnicity. We can see they were separated because of religion, some were separated because of the gender and the social class, because they thought that the blacks are really they are low classes, that they cannot afford what the whites can afford. And with the gender, we saw some are saying that some of the ladies were jealous with the black ladies. As you can see, the skin of the blacks is really, or it's quite much different with the white color, whereby we are now fighting that the black people, we are going to remain independent. We have to start taking ownership of our own banks, taking ownership of our own schools, industries, and businesses. By that, we will rise up and still continue coming up, even though we were discriminated, or even though the blacks into the United States were discriminated. We have to start taking ownership of our own infrastructures. We have to support our own local industries. We have to employ our own youth. We have to use our own resources. Like you can see, we black people, some of us, we are seen so much special, because as onto our last video, you saw so many whites saying that the black are the chosen people from God. So we have to support ourselves. We have to own our industries, and we have to fight that the issue of racism should not still come back onto our own black people, because we, as we can see, we have been already faced the racism from white people. So we have to come up with techniques that will help to fight our own we have to fight for our own, so that we can build our own infrastructures that will help the upcoming generations. So I can still say that the blacks that we were voted, or the black Americans that white Americans voted DGT, thinking that it will really affect them. To the God's grace, we have seen that in voting the DGT, in some way it has really helped, because you can see the blacks now came together and started thinking on how they will build themselves, or they will stay independent, not depending on the whites into the states. So by doing that, they are really growing, and now you can see the whites are now curious, wondering what will be the next move of the black people. As you know, the black people are very much famous, controlling some of the dollars used into the United States. And now that by doing so, it is going to make they are going to come up with their own economy to drive themselves into better living standards. So guys, continue supporting me onto my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and let us meet on the comment section. Please say something about the video onto the comment section. See you onto my next video. Bye.